Welcome back, everybody. My name is Trini, and I am the Batquad. This is a channel where I go through my personal DVD collection from A through Z. Now, I am a quadriplegic, so keeping with the theme of four, I actually review 4 movies at a time, and I rate these movies giving them a 1 through 4 wheelchair score. So this is the second part of my Batman episode. There's just too many Batman movies to put all in one, and since I reviewed Batman 66 and Batman 89, the next movie I'm going to review today is Batman Returns. But before we get in, but before we get into the movie, let me talk a little bit more about the comics. So after the success of Batman 89, the comic books industry just exploded. There were so many comic books out there, and both Marvel and DC and some of the indie comics rose from that time. And for me as a Batman fan, I mean, I was eating good. I loved Batman Detective. They started a new comic book that which they hadn't started a Batman comic book since Batman #1 in 1940, and they came out with a new one called Batman Legends of the Dark Knight. And that book, it was a pretty good concept because they had separate creators, the writers and artists. What they did was they did it on rotating teams. What they did was they did it. Fuck, this is stupid. I think I'm gonna cut that. Rotating creative teams. So the unique part about this comic book is they had rotating creative teams. So the writer and the artist would change every 5 issues. Each 5 issues were its own story. And they all took place in Batman's early times between when he first became Batman and before he met Dick Grayson, his first Robin. And nailed it. Batman comic books in the 90s were amazing. I mean, there was the introduction of a brand new Robin because Jason Todd was killed in 1988. He was actually Batman's second Robin. He was killed by the Joker. And so in 1990, they started introducing a new character of Tim Drake, and he eventually became the third Robin. The cool thing about him was Robin, both Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, they had the original Robin costume that they had in the 60s and well, from its inception. But the new Robin, Tim Drake, several artists within DC tried to come up with a new Robin costume, and eventually the legendary Batman artist
Yeah, that was good.
the legendary Batman artist Neil Adams, he wound up coming up with the concept of the new Robin costume, and then the current Batman and detective artist Norm Brayfogle, he added a couple touches when it finally debuted in the Batman comic. So rumor has it that that Robin costume was supposed to debut in Batman Returns, but eventually it wound up coming out in the Batman Returns merchandise. It came out as an action figure, but the Robin character was taken out of the Batman movie, so he didn't make it, but his action figure did, which is kind of cool. So definitely Batman in the 90s, especially in the early 90s, there were so many Batman comics that were out there. Batman, Detective, Legends of the Dark Knight. They were doing different crossovers. He was just super popular. They even had him doing crossovers with Dark Horse comics, and they had him fighting the Predator, and later on he fought Alien. So for me, as a comic book reader, and especially a fan of Batman, the 90s, it was just an amazing time. So after Batman, who was going to be the next bad guys that he was going to come up against for the next movie? And I heard a bunch of rumors and I read things in magazines at the time. And then eventually it came out that Danny DeVito was going to be the Penguin and that Michelle Pfeiffer was going to play Catwoman. Now, Danny DeVito, I mean, he had been in a couple movies and he was a well-known actor. And Michelle Pfeiffer had been in quite a few things like Scarface, Married to the Mob. What was that before or after? Anyway, she had been in a couple of things as well. I was okay with it. It definitely didn't bother me as much as it did as Michael Keaton being cast as Batman for the first movie. I was actually okay with these casting choices. Batman Returns was released in June of 1992, with Tim Burton returning as director and Michael Keaton returning as Batman. Unfortunately, one of the people that were returning to this movie was Sam Hamm. He was the screenwriter for the first one, and I had so many problems with that movie. I was a little sad that this guy was coming back for the second movie. Only a couple ideas of his were actually used in the movie because Tim Burton wasn't satisfied with the script. So there was an additional screenwriter put on Daniel Waters. In the first movie, Batman was fighting just one villain, the Joker. But in this movie, this time he was going to fight 2 different villains, Penguin and Catwoman. I don't know why they did this, and to this day I completely disagree with the way they went. But they created an original character in Max Schreck, played by Christopher Walken. I got nothing against Christopher Walken. I love that dude. He's been in so many movies, and he actually does great in this movie, but he's completely unnecessary, and the movie would have been much better without him. My biggest issue with this character is that he's really the catalyst for everything. The whole reason why he's around, he wants to build this power plant, and the mayor says no. Bruce Wayne says no. They say he doesn't need it, that there's a power surplus, and he's all against it. And the Penguin and him work together so that he can be the mayor and replace the mayor, cause chaos in Gotham City through Penguin and his minions. And I mean, it's just such a convoluted story. It doesn't make any sense. Like I said, it's like he's the puppet master. He's the one kind of controlling Penguin, even though Penguin has his own revenge scheme that he has planned. Really, Max Schreck, he's the one that's kind of controlling the whole thing. He gives him the idea to become mayor. Also, Max Schreck, he's the one who kills Selena Kyle. He pushes her out of a window, and she becomes Catwoman because I don't know, cats bit her, and they came in and, I don't know, infused her with some sort of cat powers. I don't know. It's a weird movie. It's definitely a Tim Burton movie, and the first one, definitely you can see Tim Burton's fingerprints all over it. But by the time they came to this movie, it seemed like they kind of let him do whatever he wanted to do and had almost total creative freedom. And it definitely feels like a Tim Burton movie with Batman characters. I think I liked this movie better than the first one. I don't know, maybe because it was just kind of wacky Tim Burton going crazy. I remember when I saw it in the movie theater, I just I walked out of there thinking, you know what, this is still not like the Batman comics, but I appreciated it a little bit better for some reason. And on this rewatch, I mean, this is still one of my favorite Batman movies. I like the costume. I think the costume was upgraded and it looks a lot better. His face doesn't look so fat; it's a little bit more streamlined. They took away the idea of trying to give Michael Keaton abs because we all know he didn't have any. So what they did was they put almost like an armor look to it, which I thought was great. Danny DeVito as the Penguin, he looks disgusting as the Penguin, and I really liked the way he looked and acted. I mean, they really took the name Penguin and went into making him more of like a feral penguin like person, which was kind of cool. It was a good way to go, and it's definitely a Tim Burton way to go with it. And as far as Catwoman goes, I mean, the fact that this lady, I mean, got resurrected by cats and stuff was kind of funky. But once she gets into that split personality where she's a little bit crazy as Selena Kyle, and then as Catwoman, I mean, she just looks and acts amazing. She's a very sexy Catwoman. That suit, I mean, they put it on her. It's this latex suit that she said that she had to be vacuumed into it, and I couldn't imagine being vacuumed into anything. I mean, that had to have been uncomfortable. But guess what? She looks amazing on screen. She has that whip going. She has that right voice for it. She's definitely one of, if not the best Catwoman on screen. So, what are my gripes about the movie? The costume looks great. The music, Danny Elfman's music, I think is a better soundtrack than the first one. Even though the Batman theme is super iconic, this movie with the inclusion of with the Catwoman's theme, Penguin's theme, the theme of the circus villains when they come around, the Red Triangle Gang. I mean, the soundtrack is just it's just I think it's just a little bit better. The costuming, the actors, everything's great. But again, my biggest problem with this movie is the script, the story. It's just not good. A lot of the dialogue's really bad and cheesy. A lot of the stuff that Selena Kyle says as Selena Kyle is just really. I mean, she even used the word corn dog in it, but it's really corny. A lot of her dialogue is just not good. And the fact that Selena and Bruce Wayne, they don't meet until about 45 minutes into the movie. I mean, they should have met sooner. I think that that's detrimental to the script because now you have to hurry up and rush with this kind of, I don't know, love story between the two. And it doesn't make sense that it happens 45 minutes into the movie. I mean, come on, guys. Commissioner Gordon's back in this movie, but again, he has nothing to do and really no relationship with Batman at all. Harvey Dent, played by Billy D. Williams, was only in the first movie and completely ignored by the second movie. And from what I understand, some of the things that I've read is that Billy D. Williams was supposed to reprise his role in this movie, but for whatever reason, he was written out. The chemistry between Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle is really, it's just off the charts, both in their civilian persona and then as they are as Batman and Catwoman. Their their chemistry is so much better than the one with Vicky Vale and Batman in the first movie. And I love the way they just kind of write her off that, oh, it just didn't work out. That's so odd that I mean, it's just a weird way to just write off a character that was so important in the first movie and then completely gone by the second. And but honestly, it's just worked out so much better because Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Keaton, apparently they used to date before the movie came out, and it's just apparent that their chemistry is just really good. I mean, one of the best scenes in the movie is when they find out each other's secret identity while they're dancing. It's towards the end of the movie. They're dancing together and they say, I don't know, something about mistletoe or whatever. It could be deadly if you eat it, or a kiss could be deadlier if you mean it. And when they both say that to each other and realize that they said that to each other as Batman and Catwoman, and now they're saying it in their civilian identities, and they didn't realize it. I mean, that's a really good scene. It's one of the best scenes in the movie, and just the way the camera pulls back and they look at each other and they're like, "Oh, what are we supposed to do now? Fight?" I mean, it's a really good scene, and I mean, it just goes to the chemistry of the actors and the characters. The fight scenes in this movie, they're a little bit better. I mean, Batman actually fights a couple people, but honestly, it's not good. It's not my kind of Batman. The Batman that I've read in comic books, that dude's a fighter, and in this movie, it's kind of silly fighting again. It's not much different than the first one. I don't think Tim Burton. I don't think that's his thing. Actually, throughout almost all the Batman movies, his fighting could be so much better, and in this movie, it's just okay. It's a little bit better than the first movie, but not by much. Also, one of my favorite parts of the movie is when Penguin takes over the Batmobile remotely, and Batman's stuck in it, and he's kind of in this these little kid rides that used to be outside of grocery stores where you put in a little quarter and the kid gets in it. Anyways, Penguin's in one of those, and it's the Batmobile, and he's remotely controlling Batman's Batmobile, and he's crashing into things and doing all this stuff. I love that scene. This is pretty good. I mean, because Penguin, I mean, he's very crude and he's disgusting, but a lot of what he says is pretty funny if you actually sit and listen to what he's saying. He's pretty disgusting, but still funny. Even though I have my problems with the movie and up to through the first and second act, it's really the third act that kind of falls apart for me. I mean, they have the Penguin rallies his troops, all these penguins that I guess raised him when he was little, and he straps missiles to all of them, and he's remote controlling them, and they're going up to this to the surface and to launch these missiles. I mean, they're meant to look a little bit intimidating, but it's really silly. I mean, it really goes into where this movie just completely throws out any kind of realism. There's a lot of things that were just funky going on from the beginning, but this part, it just really takes me out of the movie. I think it's really silly, and I don't understand why towards the end when Max Shrek shows up, Batman takes off his mask for Selina to try and convince her to I don't know, stop being Catwoman or something. And he does that right in front of Max Shrek, and then Max Shrek shoots him. Selina Kyle does some weird thing where she kisses him with a taser. I mean, it's really stupid, honestly. And then Batman and Penguin, they barely fight. They hardly touch each other. And then there's a remote control that goes off, and some bats come out of Batman's ship, and Penguin falls through the glass, and he falls into the water. I mean, it's really goofy. The ending really loses me. And then at the very end, which is kind of a cool part because Penguin actually doesn't die right away when he falls into the water. He kind of comes up and sneaks up on Batman, and he pulls out an umbrella and he's going to shoot him, but it winds up being like a kid's umbrella, and he's like, "Shit, it's the wrong umbrella." I mean, I thought that was kind of cool, and then he just dies. But then they screw it up because then these stupid penguins come out, and then they walk him like a funeral procession into the water. It's so stupid. I mean, back then and back now, or back then when I saw it, I mean, I just remember just kind of sinking into my chair going, "Oh, this is embarrassing." And to this day, I still feel that if I show this movie to somebody who hasn't seen Batman Returns, and if they're sold on everything that's been going on up to this point, that part when the penguins come out and walk him into the water, I cringe every time I see it because it's so stupid. When it comes to rating this movie, I don't know. I like it better than Batman 89. I like it better than Batman 66. I have a lot of problems with it, but there's so much creativity going on in this movie, and the soundtrack's great, and the costumes look good, and the actors are doing their best with what they've been given script wise. And I enjoy it a lot more, and I've watched it a lot more than Batman 89. So if I'm going to give Batman Returns a score, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 4 wheelchairs. So one of the best things that came out of the success of Batman 89 was WB executives, they wanted a cartoon. So not too long after the Batman movie, they started to do concepts of a Batman animated series. And eventually one was released in September of 92. And this was the same summer that Batman Returns came out. And it went, I mean, like I said before, as a Batman lover, as a Batman fan, I mean, it was such a good year to be a Batman fan. I mean, I loved Batman the Animated Series when it came out. Eventually, I wound up watching most of the series when I would come home from school and or work. I had my cousin Tina taping it for me, using a VHS recorder. She would record it off the TV, and I'd come home usually from work, and I'd watch the show. And I mean, it was an amazing show because it really captured the essence of Batman better than the movie did. It just captured the essence of him, and it was almost like a comic book, not necessarily come to life, but come to animated form. It was like reading a comic book, but a little bit more kid friendly. But nonetheless, it was just really good. And because of that series, they introduced a lot of characters that weren't in animated form before. It was a groundbreaking series, and it actually won awards, and it's just an amazing show. Now, just like Batman 66, they had the idea to make a movie in between the release of season 1 and season 2. So originally there was a movie that they were going to make, and originally it was going to be released to home video only. But because the movie was coming out so well, and the executives were so excited about it, they decided to release the movie into movie theaters. So almost a year after the debut of the Batman animated series, in December, actually Christmas Day of 1993, was the release of Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I remember going to see this movie. I didn't go Christmas Day, but I went a couple weeks later. And the sad thing is about the movie is it flopped. And unfortunately, I don't know why it did, but I do remember not really seeing a whole lot of push for it. There wasn't a big campaign that, oh, hey, this award winning cartoon is going to be out in the movie theaters. I saw the advertisements for it in the comic book, but I don't remember seeing any kind of commercials or any posters or anything like that. There wasn't any kind of hoopla for it. And so when it came out, I don't think a whole lot of people knew that there was even an animated movie coming out. However, I did go to the movies to see it. Of course, I would, and it was an amazing movie. I mean, I loved it then. I still love it now, and it's definitely one of my favorite Batman movies because more than the actual TV series, this movie, it's a little bit more violent, so it felt a little bit more like the comic book. Because in the TV series, when Batman punches somebody, it's usually off screen or there's a flash, so you don't really see the connection of a fist to a face. What happens is he'll do like a judo throw or something. He'll toss somebody against the wall, and that's how they get knocked out. But in this movie, one of the first scenes, Batman comes crashing through some mobster's pad, and the first thing he does is he punches some guy, and it's like, whoa, whoa! I mean, he's actually making contact. This is going to be something that's going to be special. It's going to be different than watching the TV series. And throughout the movie, I mean, people actually die. Joker gets a tooth knocked out by Batman. There's a little bit of blood in there. There's a big theme of death that's in this movie. It's definitely more mature than the animated series, which also handled mature themes, but this just took it to the next level. For those of you that don't know, because it's the animated series and an animated movie, a lot of the actors, or actually all the actors from the TV series, are in the movie as well. So Batman's played by the legendary Kevin Conroy. Joker, played by Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker himself. The female lead, Andrea Beaumont, is played by Dana Delaney. Now, Dana Delaney, she later on would star in the Superman series as Lois Lane, but here was her first animated start with the DC Universe. So this movie takes place in the current time of Batman, and it also flashes back to when he was thinking about becoming Batman. So it takes a little bit of story beats from the comic books of Batman Year One and Batman Year Two, particularly there's the main character or the bad guy, the Phantasm. He looks a lot like the Reaper from Batman Year Two in the comic books, and Andrea Beaumont, the love interest, she is very reminiscent of Rachel Caspian from also from the same story, Batman Year Two. So in this story, much like the comic book, Phantasm is killing people, and in the movie, he's actually killing mobsters. Where in the comic books, I think he was just killing regular crooks. But in the movie, he's killing these mobsters one by one, and some of the witnesses that see them, because of the way he looks, they think that it's Batman because he's a cloaked figure and he's real mysterious, and all they see is a cape. So a lot of eyewitnesses are saying that Batman is the one that's responsible for the murders. Because of that, there's a councilman or an assemblyman, I forget the guy's name. Anyway, this guy tries to get Commissioner Gordon to go after Batman to get him arrested for these murders, but Commissioner Gordon, of course, refuses. And so Harvey Bullock, he winds up running a task force to try and capture Batman. So that's what's happening in the current time. So what's happening is Batman is reminiscing because Andrea Beaumont comes back into town, and he's reminiscing about their time in the past, which they had like a little love story. They have a meet cute at the cemetery because they both have deceased parents, and they just connect really well. And honestly, I know it's an animated movie, but the chemistry between them, it's on par with Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Keaton. And in a lot of ways, I don't know, I'm just a sucker for animation sometimes, but in some ways, it's much more touching as the story goes on. There's a scene where he's crying at the cemetery, and he's thinking that he's going to be with this girl and that he wants to avenge their death, the death of his parents, but he's happy now, and his life is changing, and he wants to be with her but feels bad because he made an oath to his parents. I mean, it's really powerful stuff. I don't know if it would translate as well to live action, but as far as an animated movie, I mean, it's really good. So at the end of the movie, Batman figures out who the Phantasm is. The Joker is there. He also figures out who the Phantasm is. Between the three of them, they kind of have a brawl at this old and dilapidated place that used to be kind of like a Disneyland, Futureland type place. But it's all run down now, and Joker's taken over it. And they have this knockdown, drag out fight between Batman and Joker. I mean, like I said, Joker gets his tooth knocked out. I mean, it's a pretty good epic fight where they're fighting in between these model cities, and it just looks like the giants that they are. The characters of Batman and Joker, I mean, they're so iconic that I'm sure that there's some sort of metaphor there about them being these giants going at it. The music in this movie is pretty awesome too. Shirley Walker, who's the composer for the animated series, actually the opening of the Batman animated series was done by Danny Elfman, but then Shirley Walker takes that theme and makes it her own. And in this movie, it's just another continuation of really great talent from the animated show into the movie, and it's a lot more epic. They actually use more vocals for the Batman theme, and it really makes it much more powerful. Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, for me, I loved it when I saw it in the movie theaters. I've seen it several times throughout the years. It was a joy for me to watch it as a review because it's been a couple years since I'd seen it. But for this review, I mean, I enjoyed watching it all over again. Got a little teary eyed during some of the parts. I mean, it's silly, but I do. I mean, it's just good. That's how good this movie is. So if I'm gonna have to give this a grade or give it a score, I mean, of course, I can't give it any less than 4 wheelchairs. So that's it for this episode. This is part 2 to my Batman extravaganza. I don't know. I've got a lot of Batman information. I got a lot to talk about. He is my favorite character, so it's hard to stop. I just don't want these videos to be too long. So I will have a part 3 and a part 4, and hopefully not have to stretch it out to part 5. But for now, I'm done with this episode. I'm going to rank all the movies from my least favorite to my most favorite at the end of all these videos. So give me a thumbs up if you like this content. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos of mine. Hit that bell notification for me, please. And remember, my name is Trini. I am the Batquad, and I'm Ben to watch.